All right. So how much money do you make?
About $250,000 a month.
Nice. What do you do?
Airbnb arbitrage is my main business right now.
Airbnb arbitrage.
Yes.
What does that mean?
We're subletting properties from landlords and property managers, furnishing them, hiring cleaning teams, and basically putting them on short-term rental platforms like Airbnb and renting them out.
So you're literally going to like go rent an apartment. Like you'll get like a 12-month lease or something.
Exactly.
And then you just will list that on Airbnb.
Yeah, it's pretty simple when you think about it like that.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of people think it's super complicated, but it's really not. It's just that. It's getting permission from a landlord, furnishing the apartment and then putting it on Airbnb.
So apartment buildings like let you do this?
Yeah, actually, that's another question I get a lot all the time. Like, people think it's so complicated, but here in the U.S., there seems to be a lot of vacancies, especially in apartment complexes. So it's great to target those. They'll even offer me free rent a lot of the time to take a unit from them.
Wait,
so
really?
It's not just that they'll allow Airbnb. They're like, here, we'll give you 4 or 8 weeks free rent and do Airbnb in it for us, please.
It kind of seems like a no-brainer because then they get your rent, so they're making money, and then you, since you can charge a little more for short-term rentals, that's your spread basically.
Yes. Okay. They understand that we're going to be making a little bit of profit on the unit, so and they're basically guaranteed their rent. So a lot of property management companies and landlords are having issues with tenants paying rent right now. So they know by me operating the business out of the unit that they're guaranteed to get that rent every month. I'm taking care of routine maintenance. It's being cleaned on the regular. We're background checking guests, and that they know that their unit's safe in my hands.
Okay, so this is something you have to be really communicative with each specific apartment building that you're probably working with, though. Yeah, like it's not like you can't just. I feel like do a lot of apartments like ban Airbnb in general for all residences?
It just depends on the market, and there's lots of buildings in every different city across America, that allow it and some don't, right? Like a condo buildings where you have a lot of ownership in there, probably going to have some sort of HOA or rules against doing Airbnb.
That makes a lot of sense. So, but it's probably not something like this feels like this is what you'd ideally want to do because you don't have to take any risk up front. You don't have to put any down payments down on the building itself.
Yeah.
Like it's literally just find an apartment that you like. I guess you kind of have like a little flavor in your brand and how you furnish it or whatever to attract people and maybe charge a little more based on how nice it feels. But there's like no risk in the sense of you don't have to put money down, get a loan from a bank. You don't have to get approved for credit. I guess maybe for an apartment, but
it depends. You'd be surprised. Sometimes I don't get asked for income or credit.
Yeah, that's
wild. It really depends on the complex.
That's wild.
But as you were saying, the risk factor, that's what I love about the business because I've been in, I'm in multifamily ownership and long-term real estate investments. They cost a lot to purchase upfront. There's a lot of risk with non-paying tenants, tenants that don't take care of your stuff, market fluctuations, interest rates, all this stuff.
Gotcha.
That you're fighting against. With Airbnb arbitrage, it's really no risk. Like you said, it costs very little to furnish. You can get your capital back relatively quick. And like I said, you're not going to worry about tenants not paying because they pay before they stay, and you're making a premium on the short-term accommodation.
How much is like an average apartment that you're going for? Like, are you going like super high-end apartments? Are you going like lower end? What's like the price range for rent that you would?
For apartments, I've found the sweet spot is like almost at like economy level, like stuff that's relatively cheap on rent, but looks nice, like has some decent renovation, wood floors. I try to stay away from carpet, stainless steel appliances, upgraded kitchens, all to make it look luxury.
Yeah.
But at a, economy budget.
So you're not going to be able to go in and actually make renovations, but you'll find one that has a good base, and then you can style it, furnish it.
Exactly. It's all in the furnishings and photography.
Okay, so what would what's like a good rent from what you're discussing that you would pay if you were going to get the lease for the apartment?
So that's all relative to the market you're in.
Yeah.
Something in Texas, where the market that I'm in, you're probably looking at like $1,000 to $1,200 for a 1-bedroom.
Gotcha.
Whereas in Miami, it'd be like $2,000, $2,500, right?
Yeah.
But you're also going to make more in Miami.
Okay.
So you have to break the numbers down,
right,
and see. And the rent really doesn't matter if the revenue is there.
Yeah. Okay. So you're in Texas mainly is where you're doing this?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so you're looking for like a $1,200 a month apartment, basically.
Yeah. Anywhere from like $1,200 to $1,300, $1,400.
And then how much would you rent that out for on Airbnb typically?
Typically, we usually aim for double our rent.
Okay.
So a good way to look at it, if you're all expenses in, with a $1,300 rent, let's say $1,500 after utilities, you're probably going to want to make at least $3,000 a month gross revenue on Airbnb.
So your goal is to make 3,000.
Yeah.
And do you just make like an assumption that I'm going to rent this out for 15 nights a month, 20 nights a month? Like, is there like an average number that you would
I
say?
try to rent it out every night of the month. In the last year, I've been 95% plus occupancy.
So like $100 a night.
It fluctuates because it depends what's going on in the city. Like we just had the solar eclipse in Austin. So people were paying like $400 or $500 a night for a 1-bedroom apartment.
This is really where you get your edge. Like you're looking at like big events in the city.
I was paying my whole rent in 3 nights for every apartment for the solar eclipse. My whole rent for the month in 3 nights.
That's wild.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay, so how many of these do you have?
I have 34 now. Yeah.
34 leased apartments that you rent out.
11 homes and 23 apartments.
Oh, so you can do homes too. That makes sense.
Yes.
Huh. Okay. And so these are all, what city? Is it just
Austin and San Antonio? Yeah, I'm working on Dallas, and hopefully you're going to start coming into some Florida markets.
You're Canadian though, right?
I'm Canadian, yeah.
So how did you choose Dallas or Texas?
Originally, we thought we wanted to relocate to Texas. We were kind of like, vibing with that kind of, what's the word I'm looking for? We're country folk.
Yeah.
We're like, oh, Texas. Yeah. I mean, but then we actually had a couple friends get their visas and move to the Florida area. So we decided to try here, and we love here too.
Okay. So do you need to like get like an explicit, because I know this isn't like a thing you just do. So you kind of have to have like a one-on-one conversation with the landlord, right?
Yep.
Are you guys like setting out like a contract? Like
essentially, yeah. Like you have your standard lease, and then in that lease, they're giving permission to sublet the property, or you're signing a lease addendum.
So sublet.
Permission.
Okay.
Yeah, essentially subletting. Permission to
and that's kind of just something you could find online, just like here's like a sublet section, just making sure that's very crystal clear.
Yeah, I actually have an addendum that's written by a lawyer that we would send, and they would sign just giving us permission to list on the short-term rental.
And you just standardize that.
Yep.
Huh. Okay. So I guess what are like edges that you can get in this game?
There's lots. I mean, you honestly don't really need an edge. Like you just need to go and do it.
Yeah.
Really. Like it's as simple as that. It's getting on the phone, calling properties, calling landlords, knowing how to talk and pitch the business, explaining the benefits to a property manager and a landlord and why they should and why they want you to lease the property. You almost flip the script.
Have you had any issues that popped up, like with landlords specifically?
Not really, no. Not since I started. I have a very good relationship with all my property management or property managers and landlords. They're all very happy with the business I'm running. Like I said, I do run a pretty clean business. We run cameras, noise sensors. We vet our guests, so we don't have a lot of problems and issues, and they love us.
Where are the cameras? Are you allowed to have cameras?
Running cameras outside.
Oh, okay.
Nothing inside.
Okay.
Nothing inside, but we let people know that, if you're coming here to party, you're going to be evicted right away.
Yeah.
So we, those people just kind of don't book our place.
Yeah. Okay. So with Airbnb, what kind of like team do you need to assemble for you to, because you don't even live in Texas.
Yeah, you can do it completely remote. Yeah. That's what's even more amazing about it. I'm actually setting up 2 units right now. My team's there. They ordered all the furniture last week. I have 4 virtual assistants that I employ from the Philippines. So they're about $3 to $5 an hour. So I have 4 that do like my full-time work, and then I have 1 that actually calls buildings for me.
Gotcha.
So he's doing the prospecting.
So one of your VAs is doing prospecting, trying to find places to do this. Gotcha.
Yep.
What are you looking for in a building? Like, what's a good?
Basically, they're just looking for. All I get them to do is look for permission to do. We call it corporate leasing. That's like the professional term. Like we're not calling and saying, "Hey, can we Airbnb your house?" Or your property, right? That kind of puts landlords, puts their back up against the wall. They're like, well, Airbnb, like, right? So we always go by the term corporate leasing. We have, we work with business clientele. We work with traveling nurses. We start off with that to kind of, like ease them into the conversation, I guess.
Gotcha. So you're kind of like, okay. So you found like these that's interesting.
It's all about using the proper terminology first and having the conversation, establishing that trust and relationship with the person you're talking to, right?
Yeah.
And then at the end say, hey, we are subletting the property. We may need to fill some nights on Booking.com, Expedia, the short-term rental platforms. Are you okay with
So is there like a stigma towards Airbnb to these people?
There's a little bit of stigma to Airbnb to single-family landlords. When you call apartment buildings, they are usually just a yes or a no.
Yeah.
Know what you're doing.
Yeah.
Right? They're very aware of it.
Gotcha.
So apartment buildings can be a little bit easier, I think, for beginners. But then again, having a conversation with a guy that owns one rental property and just guaranteeing you're going to pay the rent can be very easy too.
Gotcha. That makes sense. That makes sense. So let's say you find an apartment that's down to do it. Would you ever get like multiple units in one apartment?
Yeah.
Or do you? Okay.
Yep.
Is that the ideal? Like, would you get as many as you can? Is there like a max that would be like, maybe this is like pushing it for this location?
It just depends on the area. Like some of my mentors have 40, 50 units in the same building. I have most units at one building I have is 8.
If you do what you're doing with arbitrage and renting an apartment, and renting or leasing an apartment, then renting that out, the furniture probably is like the biggest cost.
Yes, of course it is. Yeah.
So how much is how much would you typically want to budget for furnishing?
For a 1-bedroom apartment, you're going to be somewhere in like the $5,000 range.
Okay, wow.
Sometimes a little bit higher, sometimes a little bit lower. Just depends on the space and the size, right? And then let's say a 3 or 4 bedroom can be anywhere from like 10 to 15K.
Okay, wow. Yep. That's not terrible though.
No.
And then how fast do you think you would recoup that?
Well, that's as I was saying earlier, back to the free rent. I basically only take free rent deals now. So any property I'm picking up, at least 4 weeks free. If I can get 8 or 12, even better. Basically, the deals I just did are 8 weeks free rent. So in those 8 weeks, it'll take me 1 week to furnish, and then I have 7 weeks where I'm not paying rent. I'm going to get at least $500 a week for those 7 weeks, which is essentially going to get me back $3,500 off of $5K. So I've almost all paid back in my free rent period, and the next month after, I'll be fully paid back. So basically within 3 months.
Yeah, that's really smart.
Yeah,
because where I just moved did that. My first 2 months were free. Yeah. So basically, if you sign a long-term lease, they're going to try to get you they're going to give you 1 or 2 months, no rent whatsoever.
Yeah, you don't even have to sign a long-term lease. I mean, like 12 months. So that's not that long, right?
Yeah.
And I just had this is where it gets even better with arbitrage. I just had 5 units that I've already been there a year. So they sent me the renewals. I asked for 4 weeks free on the renewal, and they said yes. Nice. So I'm not going anywhere. Those units are making me money. But now they're going to give me $7,500 for free, essentially, just for re-upping my lease.
Okay, so now I'm interested. If you have to furnish an apartment, what are you all buying?
Basically everything you need, right? Like,
give me so you're going to get a couch, you're going to get a bed, some nightstands.
Just what you see here, everything. You're going to do the full kitchen. I do air fryers, coffee, Keurigs, hot water kettles, full kitchen amenities. Always a workstation. That's very important to people now. Fast Wi-Fi, big Roku TVs are very important. I do those, the ONN TVs from Walmart. They're super cheap for 65-inch.
Yeah.
They're like $300.
But they're big.
Yes.
Smart
Roku
TVs.
is very easy to use. It has all the apps for everyone, right? I try to almost like dumb it down. Make sure that the experience is very easy and they have everything they need, right?
It's like a hair blow dryer.
Yes.
Okay.
Anything that a hotel would have and then some.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Has there ever been is there like a little unique like a espresso machine or something that really that you've seen has moved the needle on bookings? Like any small detail that you wouldn't really expect?
No, I wouldn't say that there's anything like that. Like we do the pods, the coffee pods versus the traditional coffee maker.
Yeah.
A lot of people I don't think know how to even use those.
I literally had to have it.
Yeah, right. I'm the same way. I went to one once and I'm like, I don't know how to use this. That's so then right away I'm like, okay, I got to put the pods in my Airbnbs, right?
Do you have Netflix and that those logged in, or they just have the ability?
I do have logins if someone asks for them.
Okay.
It's a nice business expense. I can have all the streaming platforms that I can use them myself too, right? So if anyone ever asks for the login, it's there.
Oh, that's really cool.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So do you have a specific thesis on the location of the building? Is it it needs to be next to a hospital maybe?
Those are great.
Yeah.
Next to hospitals are always great, especially small apartments, because the traveling nurse industry is very big.
Interesting.
Right? Yeah. So you'll get a lot of nurses. We get a lot of people that are just in town Monday to Friday from work, like people that'll come from Dallas down to Austin and they don't want to travel back and forth during the week, right? So they'll rent our places during the week. And then on weekends, we have all walks of life, family vacations, people coming in to party, big events. Especially in Austin, there's always stuff happening every month.
Okay, so you definitely recommend a city where people travel.
Yes, that's definitely a lot of tourism.
Okay, tourist cities. Have you, I guess, Dallas or Texas is the only state you've been in, correct?
Correct.
What's the other city? You said Austin and what?
I'm in San Antonio. Soon to be in Dallas, yeah.
How do those two differ?
They both have, they have different, obviously, attractions, but it's really the same model, just repeated in both cities. there's nothing really different between the two cities the way I do and run things.
And then photography, do you hire like a local photographer?
Yeah.
Because I feel like you probably are looking for like a very specific aesthetic.
Yes, you're looking for someone that knows how to shoot short-term rentals, like HDR photography, knows like shooting in bracket, someone that can really light up the space and make it look luxury.
Shooting in bracket. Interesting.
Pictures are probably the most important thing.
Yeah,
when it comes down
that's
to
like
listing.
So let's get into the Airbnb side. I would love to get into the Airbnb side. Then, so basically, photos are really. Would you find someone like this? Just Google? Are you just Instagram? Or are you using like?
Yeah, using a referral from someone else, like through my network and my other Airbnb communities. That's the best way. Obviously, if you can find a referral, because I've used a couple guys before that were absolute trash. Like standard real estate photography is not short-term rental photography. It's two different ways of shooting. Like if you have someone that's used to shooting just normal real estate for like listing houses for sale, everything's going to be like wide angle and going to highlight like the features and stuff like that.
That's very important. I can understand that. So is Airbnb like there's probably like, I would love to hear like your thought process on like setting up and designing your listings. But first question, I guess, would be, are you like creating like a universal brand of like all of your units on there, or are they each like independently, and then unless they clicked on your host name, they wouldn't really know? Because this place was basically like they have like a company name on like the first photo. Yeah, I saw there's like 20 listings in Miami, and it was like their brand name was watermarked on the head, like the main photo.
Yeah, so I'm not branding like that because I think that works against you in the industry. I think that you want to come off as more of like a family. This is like a small investment. You know, you maybe got one or two properties and it's family run. Right. I think that people appreciate that more.
I agree, actually.
You know, bigger corporations. So little things like using a family picture in your profile picture so people can see that you're a family person, you have kids even. Another funny thing that one of my mentors told me too was that if you're a single male, like you shouldn't be putting just your picture in your profile. You should either be using, sorry, I shouldn't say single, but you should be using your wife or family picture, because people tend to actually book Airbnbs with, family pictures or female host pictures.
I've noticed
for males.
That makes sense. It totally does make sense.
Yeah,
because
little things like
there's
that.
Just like subtle like messaging about that. Like one guy, like I don't know, he might bust it. Like, you feel
especially with women, they're going to feel more comfortable booking from a female host.
For sure, without a doubt. I've also seen people with Airbnbs will put like fake family photos on their like inside the house to make it feel like more homey or something. That's always funny. Well, okay, so like back to like listing strategy in general. That definitely makes sense. Like don't like corporatize your. It's supposed to be like homey, one like more personal experience that you're kind of just like working or living this one person's home, and they're going to give you good service. That's kind of how it's felt.
Yeah, like I try not to, have that kind of like you want to have that homey feel, right? And we want to be like my VAs are checking up on my guests constantly, right? They're making sure that, as soon as they get there, that everything is up to their expectations. Like we're coaching them through the whole process to make sure that they're leaving us a 5-star review at the end too, because that's just as important as everything else is great reviews.
That's really how you're going to stand out and get more bookings over time. Okay.
Because you'll be surprised. People will go through every single review.
Oh yeah, for sure. And there's so many options on there. So like you have to have every edge. Okay. So have you ever found like specific, like since you have 8 units in one apartment, can you kind of try different marketing angles with like your title? Like, are you speaking to like the target demographic, like the traveling nurse home? Like I've seen people like brand their.
Yeah. So we'll try to throw some of that into like the listing description and SEO, but like one of my mentors, he does every unit the same. Like it's all the same furniture. He paints every wall the exact same. There's no real thought or character in the units. I'm kind of different. I try to like change all my units up. I use different colors. I try to use different furniture for each one, so they're not all the same.
So you can paint these if you wanted to.
Yeah, and I do sometimes paint accent walls. I have a unit that's all pink. So like I've tried almost doing the themed units.
Themed, okay.
Yeah, like that kind of is like too far one way. That unit doesn't do it as good as some of the other units in that building, but it was an experiment. I wanted to try and see how well it worked, right? But I do find that making every listing different with a little bit of a theme behind it, a subtle theme like that, but that can still cater to a wide range of guests is what you want to do.
So what would you say like a common title is for one of your, like what is the title?
They're very basic. I actually hire a copywriter to do my titles and my description and all that. We don't get too specific. It'll be like cozy and luxury, you know, warm, and like he does stuff like that. And then maybe he'll mention like free parking or something that's important to people in that area, right?
So just kind of understanding what that specific area, like if it's just New York, free parking.
Exactly.
Like,
or pool, if, you know, and you're Texas in the summer heat.
Exactly.
Right?
Okay. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. It's like these are like obvious things, but you really have to think through it and just be intentional about it. You know? Once you think about it, it becomes obvious. How much would you expect? Like, what is like, if you are getting a new unit, how much would you need? Like 8K, 10K?
If you're starting off right from the beginning, your first unit's obviously going to cost you a little bit more because you're going to need to, you know, there's going to be some trial and error with the first one. There's probably going to be a few mistakes, you know, logistical issues, meeting your team member, you know, hiring a new photographer, setting up a company, all that. But if you're already, you know, got all that done, then yeah, I'd say 5,000 to 10,000 is a good budget for like a 1, 2, 3 bedroom.
And then you'd probably make that back in the first year pretty quick.
Oh, if you're not making it back in the first year, then you've made some serious mistakes.
But you're expecting maybe 3 or 4 months to make that back.
Yeah. On average, if you're not getting free rent concessions, then 6 to 12 months is kind of the average based on the market. But if you're getting free rent, man, like 2, 3, 4 months.
Interesting. How long have you been doing this?
Just over a year, actually.
You've only been doing it for a year?
Yeah.
And you have 34?
Yes. And I took like 4 or 5 months off in that time frame. I did 34 in basically like 7, 8 months.
Damn, dude.
Yeah,
you're making me question. You're making me question
like,
my whole life now.
I wasn't like rushing it either. Like, I was like taking my time. Like I was already well established before this, right? So it's for someone that's like hungry and motivated. I know guys that have done 50 to 100 units in 1 year.
Oh my God. Have you marketed your Airbnbs off platform at all? Like, is it just straight up
really
organic?
Airbnb has been really good to me. So I'm kind of loyal to them. They have great insurance coverage as well. So anytime I guess like, say they smoke in my unit or just trash the place, they always pay out. So I'm not worried about the insurance side. When you do off-market bookings, you definitely need to have some solid insurance that you're paying for outside of the platform, just in case that does happen. But Airbnb almost, I hear that they will penalize people if they're, you know, on all these other sites because it will, like, say I take a booking on VRBO, my Airbnb calendar is going to be blocked.
Yeah.
If that's happening more and more and they see that, you know, this guy is booking somewhere else 50% of the month, we're not going to push him as much because we're not making.
So they have an algorithm.
So now they're going to take someone that, let's say you're only on Airbnb, maybe they replace you with me.
Nice.
Right? Because they want to push as many listings,
so be loyal.
Get as many bookings as they can on their platform.
It's interesting that there's an Airbnb algorithm.
Yes,
basically.
there is.
And you need
and
to make
it's
sure
very tricky. And they're
time.
always changing it too.
Like probably how much you're on there for support, how fast you apply. Like they're really going to...
There's little tricks and or tips and tricks that you can try, like little things like even just changing your pricing for every listing 3 times a day will help push it in the algorithm. So I was like taught to go up by $1, down by $1. Just 3 times a day because just you being on the platform constantly messing with your listing, Airbnb sees it as this professional host. Yeah. They're constantly making adjustments. You know, they're on the platform and they like that, right?
What would other variables like that be? Like how, obviously, screen time on the app, how quickly you reply to guests. Reviews are obviously going to be like the number one thing for sure.
Yep.
And then changing price. Is there anything else that you've thought of that's like, or that you've heard of?
Obviously being a super host is another great.
What does it take to be a super host?
You basically need over 10 stays, over a 4.8 rating, 100% reply rating, I think. And then there's less than 1% cancellation. That's the big one.
Okay.
So if you have 100 bookings and you cancel 2 of them, then you're going to lose superhost status. So I never cancel any bookings.
Okay.
If there's a problem, we always get the guest or Airbnb to do it.
But that's different than requesting and then denying.
Yes.
So if you confirm the booking, then cancel. That's what you're referencing.
Exactly.
And it's 10 stays for 1 unit?
No, it's just 10 stays across all of
your however many
you have in every quarter.
So it's not 10 units. It's just if you have 3 or 4 each. Yeah.
Correct. And they'll assess superhosts once every 3 months.
Gotcha. Do you just like apply for that basically?
They just assess all the Airbnb hosts every 3 months.
They'll
if you reassess. Meet the criteria every 3 months, then you
could lose it.
Keep the badge.
Yeah, but you could lose it.
Definitely you can.
Wow. Okay, so what are mistakes of someone that is like just doing this? Probably they don't see coming.
Yeah, I think probably some of the biggest mistakes that people don't see coming is just managing the business. Like as a business, a lot of people I think just think that they can throw furniture in a unit and then put it up on Airbnb and there's nothing else, right? the back end is just as important, right? Having systems and some sort of structure, like with virtual assistants and procedures that they're following to ensure guest, satisfaction is the most important thing in the business. You need your guests to be happy.
So let's go through that team process then, because I can imagine like the turnover, like you have someone checking out at 11, someone coming in at 3.
Yes.
If you're like doing every day, like you said, so like the cleaning person needs to be on time. They can't be working for somebody else and be like, hey, last minute, I can't do it for you.
Yeah.
Would you have to step in and go do it yourself? Have you done that?
We have backup cleaners.
Okay.
But I've been working with the same cleaners for a while now in both cities, and they're very reliable. So they have teams and they have multiple.
So it's a cleaning company?
Yeah, I use cleaning contractors.
Contractors.
Yeah, like a couple of them. I have a couple cleaning companies, and then I have a couple just individuals that are starting now to hire people because we're getting so busy.
Okay, so I'm sure at this point this market has evolved where there probably are like dedicated cleaning companies for Airbnbs, right?
Yes, of course.
So you probably have like 3 or 4 independent contractors in your roster, and then like these 2 companies that could like come in an emergency.
Yes.
And it's just your job, or probably one of your VA's job, to just communicate, book, and make sure a cleaner is ready to do that, correct?
Yeah, they're doing all the scheduling. A lot of it's automated now actually through the softwares. But
what software?
So you can use Turno, which is the big one. And then my property management system we use is HostAway. So HostAway will automatically schedule the cleaners I've set for certain properties. And then my VAs will double check with the cleaners like, hey, we're just making sure that you're cleaning this, and this tomorrow. Can you confirm everything's all good? So the night before, we know if we're going to have a problem for the next day. And then that's when hey, we can't cover this one clean. Okay, contact the backup cleaners, get them there.
Okay, I like to get really detailed. So on HostAway, say that this person's checking out and you need them to be there tomorrow at 11 because you have someone coming in at 3. You would just like click a button, set the time, or what? How does it?
No, it's all automated because HostAway knows our checkout hours. So they know that the guest is leaving.
So the cleaner automatically gets scheduled the next day?
Yes.
Or the moment after?
Yeah.
And so does a cleaner have to accept it or click it, or does it?
Correct. So every time we have a booking, it will get sent in order to like our primary cleaner. And then if they don't take it, it will go to the secondary cleaner. So if they accept it, then it goes right to them and they're scheduled. They will go to their calendar. They know. And then my VA will also follow up. It's like 95% automated.
Yeah, so on their side, they just open up this app and then say, oh, job opportunity. I'm going to work today.
Yeah.
They can like make their own schedule.
Yeah, but they're working every day.
Yeah.
We're having a ton of turnovers. So most of my cleaners are full-time with me.
They are full-time.
Yeah.
I'd ask you that.
So the best thing you can do for your bottom line is to hire in-house cleaners. If you can find cleaners that are willing to clean for an hourly rate, and then just outsource the laundry, that's gonna make you the most money.
Okay. Explain that. What's an ideal hourly rate, and why do they outsource?
Depends on the city as well. Like with Austin, no one wants to work hourly. They all want like per job pricing.
How much would that be?
Anywhere from like $80 from a 1-bedroom up to like $150 for a 4-bedroom.
I'm getting charged
a little bit
way
more
than that in the cleaning.
Yeah. It depends. Like my cleaners have come down on their pricing because I'm giving them so much work now, right? Their prices used to be a lot.
So you got bulk deals. So 80 to 120 for a flat fee. What would be the ideal hourly? Like just 15 an hour, 20 an hour?
And in Austin, you probably have to pay like $35 an hour.
Damn. How long does it take to clean one, would you say?
1-bedroom should be like half an hour.
What?
Yeah.
To change the sheets?
Yeah, because they've already got the laundry done off-site, right?
So what does that mean? So they have off-site laundry means like you have like 2 sets of everything?
Yeah, they always have multiple sets. So like they'll take the dirty stuff off, they'll send that to the cleaning company, they'll do it, and then they have a fresh set.
Do they have to drop it off at the cleaning company, or does?
Yeah, sometimes they'll come pick it up, drop it off. Okay. I don't have any of those services right now because we do everything on site.
Okay, so right now they will take the dirty sheets off, throw it in the washer, start cleaning, throw it in the dryer, and then
they'll already have the
fresh set.
They already have the fresh sheet, but they'll wash the dirty sheet while they're cleaning.
Prepare for the next cleaning.
Yeah, you got it.
Interesting.
Yeah, you can do it a few different ways. Like my mentor, it depends what city you're in, because some cities you can hire, hourly employees and then outsource the laundry. And that is a lot cheaper.
Gotcha.
Right? So if you can do it like that, I recommend doing it like that.
This is fascinating, bro. Okay. 10 seconds on the clock. How many things in your life can you name that are growing? Your relationships, your skills, your customer base? How about businesses on Shopify? Shopify is the global commerce platform that helps you sell at
every stage of your business. From the launch your online shop stage to the first real-life store stage, all the way to the did we just hit 1 million orders stage, Shopify's there to help you grow. Whether you're selling shipping supplies or promoting productivity programs, Shopify helps you sell everywhere. From their all-in-one e-commerce platform to their in-person POS system, wherever and whatever you're selling, Shopify's got you covered. Shopify helps you turn browsers into buyers with the internet's best checkout, up to 36% better compared to other leading commerce platforms. And Shopify is the global force behind Allbirds, Rothy's, and Brooklinen, and millions of other entrepreneurs of every size across 175 countries. Go to shopify.com/WGMI to grow your business no matter what stage you're in. That's shopify.com/WGMI.
So you have cleaners. That's probably like the most like crucial part of this.
Yes.
Then you have 4 VAs. 2 of them are doing three. So
3 of them like every shift. So we're covered 24 hours.
So you have 3 sets of 3.
No, we have one for each shift, and then I have an outsourced VA.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah, and I have a manager now actually as well.
Okay, so those 3 VAs are just replying to messages on Airbnb, doing scheduling with cleaners and other team members. What other team members do you need in your pipeline to be covered on all bases?
Basically just the VAs. And then a handyman and the cleaners. Like you should have a handyman outside in case stuff gets broken, you need to fix, set up units, stuff like that.
Okay, so interesting question here. Apartments have like maintenance already for like an apartment building. So can you use those people or do you want your own person?
That's another beauty of the rental arbitrage. Like any big issues like air conditioners, heating, water, plumbing, it's all going to be covered. I'm not coming out of pocket for it, right? Whereas if I own the property, all those expenses fall on me too.
So the handyman would more so be for homes or just
maybe for apartments too, just like if someone like say they broke a chair,
like furniture,
we had trouble with the electronic lock or something.
Not maintenance, handyman.
My cleaners can do a lot of changing furnace filters and stuff. My cleaners do a lot of the routine maintenance, so I don't often have to bring in the handyman either. If you have handy cleaners, it's even better. Like my cleaners will charge my Ring cameras, they'll change the batteries in the locks.
Nice.
So I don't have to.
Just little details.
It all adds up, right?
Yeah. So basically, did you use onlinejobs.ph to hire these VAs?
Yes.
What was your listing?
That's the number 1 site for virtual assistants.
Yeah.
And I never even went crazy with the listing. Just asked for someone to have prior experience with Airbnb, obviously, managing short-term rentals, doing inventories, talking to cleaners, obviously good communication skills.
And so that's just like on a high side, $5 an hour. And you?
Yeah, I'm paying $100 a week to the 3 of them and then $125 to the outreach. So
that's a deal.
Yeah, for 40 hours.
Yeah. Wow. And then they're all just, you have it scheduled. Hey, your schedule's 8 p.m. to 4 a.m. This one's 4 a.m. to noon to 8. So you always have someone. So your reply time is
basically pay $20 a shift.
Gotcha.
Look at it like that because they do work weekends as well too.
Gotcha. And then you have one that's dedicated towards the actual outbound.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll get to that later. So a handyman is just this is just one person for like all your units pretty much. And he's like,
yeah, I have a few of them in every city just because they're not so reliable. Some of them like have full-time jobs and stuff. They're doing this part-time, right? So we've got 3 or 4 in each city that we can call.
But they're not usually like too urgent of issues. It's more so just like a one-off problem here, one-off problem
if it's like a super urgent issue, it's usually the property management company that's going to deal with it, right? Because super urgent issues are usually like HVAC or plumbing.
Gotcha. Right? Yeah. So they have a maintenance team. That's cool. That makes a lot of sense. So is the cleaning fee like a place where you do make like a good margin as like...
Some people will upsell the cleaning fee on the platforms, but I don't. Like whatever I'm getting charged for cleaning is what I put in Airbnb. They're trying to make way with the cleaning fees, so I'm trying to get mine as low as possible.
Yeah, it's frustrating when you're like, oh, it's only $200 a night. It's like $700 cleaning fees. Like, what? How does that even possible?
But now I think they changed it so you can see total cost, right? Which includes everything.
They probably got a lot of flack for that then.
Yeah.
Okay, so... But can you make the cleaning fee whatever you want technically?
You really can, but at a certain point, no one's going to book.
Yeah.
Right. So you got to be strategic. Like some people will even reduce their cleaning fee and they'll up their nightly rate depending on the market, right? But the market I'm in, the cleaning fees are high, so I leave them what I pay.
It is really cool how you can like market these Airbnbs in ways like make it feel luxury and that has a pricing strategy that's luxury.
Yep.
Cleaning fees, maybe if you want to have a high cleaning fee but at low pricing to like attract people.
Yeah.
Like it's like all like a thing you should test.
Yeah, definitely every market's different, and you've got to play with your pricing strategy, and you've got to tweak it until it's perfect, right?
Dude, I'm loving this conversation. Wow. Okay, so the softwares that you use, is it Hostaway? What was the other one?
I use Hostaway and Slack for my team communication, Monday.com for like task management, inventory.
CRM, basically.
Yeah, all that stuff. And then basically Hostaway does majority of the work.
What all does Hostaway do?
I have my electronic locks integrated in there. It's doing all my automated messaging. It can do auto reviews. It's handling my cleaners' tasks. It can do so much more. Like, it can integrate with all these different products, like your minute sensors, your dynamic pricing software. Basically, they have, I think, the most integrations on the market right now.
And it's just all integrated into Airbnb, basically.
Yeah, they work with all the short-term rental platforms.
And so dynamic pricing. So this thing can, how would you just set out dynamic pricing?
Dynamic pricing is essentially like a software where they have a pricing algorithm based on demand in the city. So you set like a base price, and you set different rules for each of your listings, and then they'll fluctuate prices up and down based on demand.
But that app has all the data.
Yes.
And they do it for you.
They have
so you don't even have to do it unless you like see an opportunity.
Yeah, you essentially set a base price. They'll give you a suggestion on the base price based on your market, how many bedrooms you have, all that stuff. Yeah. And then you can tweak that and your rule sets, and then they'll fluctuate based on what's going on.
Interesting.
Yeah.
And what automations would you have typically? Like messaging automations?
Yeah, basically the messaging automations are when someone inquires about a booking, they'll get automation right away, because that helps with our response time and rate, right? So right away, we're making sure that we touch that guest right away. And then my VAs will take over the conversation.
They'll get like a notification that it's been triggered.
Yep. And then after the booking, they'll get, thank you for booking. Yeah. We always send the check-in instructions a day before. That's another automated message. And that's set up for each unit individual, because they all have, different particulars, right?
When you're setting check-in instructions, what's pretty important to cover? Like, it's like dishes.
Everything. You have to almost dumb it down for people.
Could you explain like some of the key things that you'd want as a host are like pretty critical for your system? Because again, to make money, you need to be dialed in, and you need to book for like 25, 30 days a month, pretty much, if you're wanting to be a professional at this. And so like those check-in instructions are probably designed where it's kind of like a meet in the middle with the guest, like dishes in the dishwasher, stuff like that.
We don't really do any of that.
I hate Airbnb hosts who make me do the dishes.
I don't put any like tasks for the guests.
Awesome.
Check out.
You're a hero. Bro.
Yeah, like I'm paying my cleaners a good penny to clean. Like they can clean, right? Obviously, we get the odd guest that just takes advantage, and they'll just leave everything everywhere. And sometimes my cleaners will charge me a little bit more. But for the most part, guests are pretty reasonable. With check-in instructions, we're basically trying to explain to the guests and walk them through the whole process, right? So what do they do when they show up? Where can you park? Where can you not park? Do you need a parking pass on your car? This is the code for your unit, how to use the lock once you get in, what to do.
Wi-Fi password.
Yeah, Wi-Fi password. And then the rules again, because we want to let people know, hey, no smoking, no partying, you're going to be kicked out, all this stuff, right?
Okay, cool. Are there any specific rules that you found that like are just pretty important rules?
Yeah, the smoking. We always put that even in the listing prior, like you're going to be evicted, charge $500. Same thing with parties, unauthorized guests, unauthorized pets, all that stuff.
Yeah.
Yes. We allow pets, but we charge for them.
That's basically just to avoid, the more thorough and the better written that is, the less messages you're going to get.
For sure. And like I said, you just really have to dumb it down. Honestly, sometimes you even have to provide like directions, just which way to walk.
Yeah.
Right. To make sure people get lost really easy. They're in a city they're not familiar with. So make it as easy as possible.
Or not tech savvy people. So can you change the code to get into, I'm assuming it's a code that they get?
So with our electronic locks, they automatically set a code for each guest based on the last four digits of their phone number, right? It makes it really easy for them. Everyone can remember the last four digits of their phone number, right? So we'll tell them, hey, this is your code. It's also the last four digits of your phone number, and it's only valid for their checkout date or check-in date and checkout.
Through the stay.
Yes, exactly. Wow. So everyone gets their own code, and their code won't work after the reservation's over. Like, we don't want any guests, obviously, to come back while a new guest is in or whatnot.
Yeah, interesting. Yeah, interesting. And have you found that code system is better than like I guess that's probably the most convenient for everybody.
Yeah, it's
Non-technical.
the Slonge end code is the best lock you can possibly use in the business.
Slonge encode.
End code.
That's like what you're putting on your door.
Yeah, that's the
And
lock.
so will the landlords let you do that?
Yep. Some buildings may be against it, but I haven't had one tell me no yet.
So you
And
just
if
ask permission.
I did have one building kind of push back, and I explained to them the benefits, and with maintenance and a guest, if we need to get in for emergency maintenance and a guest has a key and they're not there, how do you get into the unit? With the door lock, I can give a specific code for maintenance to go in, and I have a history of who went in the unit, what code was used, what time stamped, and everything.
Gotcha.
Very important, right?
Yeah. So do apartment complexes have access? Like they can get into your unit at any time,
Technically, they have a key.
unless you have like a deadbolt while you're in
Yes,
there.
all the units have a deadbolt in case someone's in there, right?
In there, right?
Yeah.
But if, in theory, so do you have to give the apartment complex just a universal code?
I usually
Master
do,
code?
just in case there's an extreme maintenance. Like all the apartments are going to have a spare key regardless, right?
Okay.
So, but like I said, for guest safety, if they are in the unit, they all have a deadlock or a deadbolt, that even if they tried that key, they can't get in if someone's in there.
Interesting.
Yeah.
And then the thank you automated message is just encouraging them to leave a review, basically.
Yeah, we're almost trying to coach the guests from start to finish. Hey, when you show up, please let us know everything is perfect. We strive for 5-star reviews. And then I even have a magnet that goes on every fridge that kind of
nice.
shows the Airbnb rating system, because people don't understand that anything less than a 5-star on Airbnb is like a fail. And Airbnb takes it very seriously. Where with hotels, you can go 3.5, 4-star is decent.
That's what the hotel's called. It's a 4-star
Yeah,
hotel.
exactly, right? So we always have to kind of reiterate that to the guest and let them know that, hey, as long as, everything was fine, you should give us a 5-star.
And so how time intensive is this for you, assuming that you weren't looking for new places? Let's say you just stopped today.
Yeah.
Just straight up management.
Yep.
How much time would you say you're spending on this?
Really, like probably a couple hours a week if we're
What?
talking like no unit expansion. I'm
Once
more
you have-
involved in the unit expansion. Even though I have a team on the ground doing it, I'm still talking to them, telling them how I want the unit to look, what furniture I think they should buy, because I'm not doing a universal setup.
Right.
I'm using the same stuff over and over again.
Yep.
If I was to do that, it would just be like they know what furniture to order, they know how to set it up. I wouldn't have to be involved, but I still like to be involved in my pricing, right?
Gotcha.
Because at the end of the day, a virtual assistant in the Philippines doesn't know what I need to make.
Yeah.
Right? Or how I want to set my prices. So every morning I adjust them, I look at them, I'm happy with them. And that's essentially all I have to do for the whole day.
What's a good margin with all your employees, all your units? What is a good profit margin?
In Airbnb arbitrage, you should expect around a 30 to 50% margin,
amazing.
depending on the market
That is
and the
amazing.
time of year. Yeah, like last month we did a 44% margin.
That is amazing, dude. Wow. That's cool. Okay. So full team is just 3 VAs for managing the units, scheduling the cleaners, double checking the cleaners, the messages.
Yeah.
Just anything that could really go on day to day for tiny common answers.
So I actually brought on one of the ladies that runs one of the cleaning teams for me in Austin. I actually just brought her on as a manager.
Nice.
So now I took myself, because the VAs were
Asking
reporting
you,
to me
yeah.
and asking me questions now. So I wanted to take myself out of that. So now I brought her in between. So
How much?
now she will come to me if there's a bigger issue that I need to, answer to.
What's a good salary for that role? Just baseline.
She charges me $300 a week. It's not a lot. It's all virtual for
Yeah.
her, right? She's
Yeah,
just doing it from her phone, while she's doing
That's a good
her
job.
other businesses.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's a pretty good gig, and I was all over that. I'm like, wow, $1,200 a month clears
Extra
for
money.
me just to not have to worry about anything.
Yeah. So cleaning teams on standby, a handyman on standby every once in a while whenever you need them.
Yep.
Just like a few in your rotation. 3 VAs, just one every 8 hours.
You don't need that though.
But that's
you need that at my scale.
Yeah.
Like I didn't even have a VA for my first 7 homes. I was just doing it myself.
But even that, for all those people, it's probably not even how much is that a month? Like $3,000 a month?
Yeah, essentially.
Around
Yeah,
there?
yeah,
For
3,000
the whole team?
right around there. You just, as you scale up, you have more money to spend on stuff like that, so you can, de-stress your life
Right.
by giving away a little bit extra of the money you make. Right.
That's so worth it.
Yeah.
So basically, most of your time is going to go into getting new units, furnishing them, getting the photos taken, getting a listing up. Are you doing all that?
Exactly. If I want new units, that's where my time's going, right? My VA will message me, say, hey, Colin, we got some leads in this city. Here's the info. And then I'll follow up and I'll call the property if I think that it's a good fit for me and start negotiating, sign the lease, and then get my team to start the process of setting it up.
Okay, so then let's go into that side of this things now. This is kind of like sales in a way, like you're selling the landlord on your thing.
It essentially is.
So let's do prospecting first. How does you have a dedicated VA that's sole job is just to look for units, look for opportunities where you could potentially do Airbnb arbitrage.
Yep.
So how can they identify? Just tell me all about the lead prospecting. How are they identifying a potential target? And then once they've identified one, when they call, what information are they trying to get before it gets sent to you?
Yeah, so back to the corporate leasing terminology.
Yes.
They're basically calling buildings, seeing if they've worked with corporate leasing, if they allow it. Okay, if they allow it, is there any restrictions? Can the guest stay less than 30 days? Is it, what are the restrictions around the corporate leasing? And then if they say, yeah, they do corporate leasing, yes, they allow short-term rentals, under 30 days, that's when he lets me know, hey, we got a hot lead at this building. And
Gotcha.
I'll call and I'll talk to the person.
Is that what you're using Monday.com for?
Yeah, essentially Monday is just to like organize everything, keep I do a property detail database in there.
Yeah.
So I have a full database built out of every property. So every little detail for every property. So my VA, like say I hire a new VA, how are they they've never seen any of these properties. They can go in there. Any question that a guest is going to ask is going to be in that database.
You just archive it in there. Okay.
Yeah. And then I have full storage unit inventories. Like my cleaners will go once a week. They always tell they'll do a full inventory at the storage unit. And they also tell my VAs what they're taking so they can adjust stocks and order new stock.
Okay. So you have like a storage unit that has like toilet paper.
Yeah.
Paper
Exactly.
towels.
All just delivered from Amazon to that storage unit. And then cleaners go and organize it. We have shelving systems.
So you'll get it shipped directly there. The cleaner's responsibility is to unbox it, organize it, shelves, labels and everything.
And then let my VAs know that the stuff we ordered arrived. And then if they take anything, hey, we took 50 rolls of toilet paper, and then they'll adjust the stocks. And then if they need to order more, they have my Amazon account. They can go in, place an order.
Gotcha. That's cool. Would never have thought of that. So thank you for that. What's the typical cost a month for that type of stuff? I know you're doing
it
bulk.
Varies because I buy everything in bulk, right? Like even when it comes to shampoos and shower gels and stuff, I buy always the Amazon brand if I can. Amazon brand seems to be the least expensive. And if you buy like the big containers and then pour it in the little shampoo bottles versus buying an actual
individual plastic bottles.
Yeah, I try to do everything in bulk.
Nice. Do you have like a range? I know it's variable costs.
It's tough. I don't per unit.
Yeah, no, across all. I guess per unit, but
yeah,
per unit it's like because $3.
That's what I mean.
$4.
Like I have so many units now. It just depends. And we used to like let guests have free reign to it all.
Yeah.
And now we have a locked closet at each property too. So we only put out like a couple rolls of toilet paper.
Yeah, people might take those to the road.
Yeah. We give people like the starting essentials now.
Yeah.
Where before it was just a free for all. So we're definitely spending less than what I was in the beginning. And I've adjusted because I've seen, what's happening. I'm like, okay, we got to make some small changes here, right? And save some money.
Okay. That was an interesting tangent. Thank you. So lead scraping. So I understand. I guess I'll go a little deeper on the call, but lead scraping in general, are they just like every apartment complex in the book? Is there like a specific location that like what would disqualify something?
So what I usually do is I usually look at the revenue data for the city first. So I have it broken down by zip code. So in Miami, let's use Miami as an example. I'll see which zip code makes the most money. And then
where do you find that?
I have a software called Profit Maps, but it's essentially AirDNA. The AirDNA has a lot of airdna.co is the main data website for short-term rentals. They have a lot of bad data in there, and it can be kind of confusing. There's a lot of stuff to look at in there. So there's a service called Profit Maps, which I use where the guy extracts the good data and puts it into simple-to-read spreadsheets. So essentially, I'll pull up Miami. It'll be listed by bedrooms, how much they make by zip and by zip codes. So I can see a 3-bedroom in this zip code makes this much amount of money, right? And then I basically find the zip codes that make the most amount of money and tell my VA to prospect those first.
Profit maps?
Yeah.
Maps?
Profit maps, that's what they call them.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. Wow, that's interesting.
Yeah.
And so that's where they probably are scraping, looking for good locations, good areas, you're saying?
I don't have the VA so much like find the area. I do that.
So you'll do this.
I tell them, hey, call this zip code today.
So
any
apartment complex in this zip code.
And then he'll scrape all the apartment complexes or condo buildings, anything for lease, and he'll put it in like a spreadsheet or Monday.com and just go through them, start calling them all.
Wow. And then on that call, is there anything that you're using the language of corporate, what'd you say, corporate leasing, kind of being like vague on what you're doing and not very clearly saying, hey, I want to do Airbnb arbitrage because that might turn people away at first until you have the relationship.
Yeah.
Is there any like red flags that you've ran into? Like, have you ever like had a problem with the landlord, like where it's like they were bad landlord?
Not really. I have a couple property management companies that aren't as great as I'd like them to be. Like, there's a lot of maintenance issues. They're slow to, address things. In Texas, we have a lot of pest control issues.
Yeah. What about a fob? 'Cause I know most apartment complexes are like, you have to fob to get into the building.
Yeah. So I don't have any like high-rise condos that have like that security at the front. Most of mine are like, one story, 2-story apartment style complexes.
Facing the outside? The doors are facing outside?
Yeah, like that.
Okay, so anyone... So, okay. So that's pretty...
So we don't have any fobs.
Would that be like that would probably be pretty hard to like get around.
There's a couple companies that deal with that. I think one of them's called Key Cafe. You can put like a box in the parking structure and people can go up and you give them a specific code.
Okay, yeah, like a lock
fob and
a lock box.
Essentially.
Okay. Easy solve. Right there, I was telling myself that was
either lockbox or a service like that will do what you needed to do.
Okay, great. Interesting. Okay, and then basically they're just like vetting it if this is a possibility, if like what these people's like standards are, if they've ever done it before, and basically if it's something that they've done before, they already have like subletting allowed, it's a hot lead, you give them a ring and you're ready to take action basically.
Yeah.
Cool. Is the approval process just pretty subjective? Like at the end of the day, if they want to let you in, they'll let you in, or is there literal like regulation?
Yeah, it's all it's building dependent, right? Mm-hmm. So what you can do when you're first starting, if you maybe you don't have that income to show or you've got some bad credit or something like that, look for buildings that have a ton of vacancy because buildings like that
need it.
They're going to be more willing to take a risk on you to fill apartments.
Okay, fascinating. So it's pretty subjective. You can like sell the guy and like just sell yourself.
Like I said, I've had so many calls where like for my units that they've never even verified income or asked for any sort of history.
Gotcha. Right? So just building out the system of consistent leads. How many like apartments do you think you could do a month right now? Like if you had like endless leads, like what's the most you could take on at a time? 40 years.
I think I could. I really think I could do whatever I put my mind to. Right? Like it's just your limits. You create your own limits.
So furniture, right? Like furnishing. I feel like that's like the biggest time consuming part. No.
Yeah.
Like you going in there, scoping it out. So what would look good? Shipping. How do you buy furniture?
Yeah, basically Amazon, IKEA, Walmart.
So you're gonna get everything
fair.
You're gonna get everything shipped in boxes, and then you're gonna basically like build it all.
Yeah, so you can do it a couple different ways. If you have like a singular home or unit, you can just ship it direct to the house. You don't have your person on site. Put it in the house, start building it. If you're doing like 5-10 units in the same city or complex, probably the best way to do it is to get a storage unit and have everything shipped to the storage unit. And then on the day your lease starts, hire guys with trucks to come
like
pick it up. Yep. Bring it all to the unit, start building it.
Do you build the furniture yourself?
No.
It's like Craigslist people or like...
Yeah.
It's like
TaskRabbit, Craigslist, referrals.
What would you make the listing on that? Just like looking for someone to install furniture?
You can just go on TaskRabbit. There's hundreds of them and literally hire them.
It's like furniture. That's like a thing.
Yeah, furniture builders.
Furniture builders.
Yep.
Okay, cool. Mm-hmm. This is awesome.
Yeah.
What's your social media?
It's Agent Wright on Instagram.
Okay, great. I'll link all
last name
WRIGHT.
Yeah.
Cool. Awesome. I'll link all those below, but go follow him because that was sauce. Outside of Airbnb arbitrage, what do you have?
So I kind of started at the bottom with real estate. I also should probably mention that I never graduated from high school. I went right from dropping out of high school to getting my real estate license. Started as a realtor while working like other full-time jobs. So basically real estate was part-time for a long time. So eventually I built up enough clientele and business to do it full-time. Started taking my commissions from real estate, putting it into long-term investments, buying my first house, buying rental properties, started flipping homes. So basically the full real estate spectrum.
Whole road.
Yeah, and then basically found Airbnb arbitrage and just realized that I wanted to stop purchasing long-term investments because you're tying up, sometimes hundreds of thousands of dollars and making like no cash flow.
Yeah.
And interest rates are crazy. So I saw the arbitrage model and was like, I can make a lot of cash flow doing this.
So do you have like, you said you have how many, you have actual rental units that you own?
Yeah. So I have 35 units that I own that are rented to long-term tenants.
So you own 35 where you have like a mortgage on them basically.
Yeah. They're like different multifamily properties. Like some of them have 4 units, some of them have 12 units.
Like townhomes or
like
duplexes?
Yes, exactly.
Duplexes, yeah.
Yep.
Okay, cool. So you actually own those where you're kind of building up like the equity value.
You got it.
Essentially,
The long-term real estate play, paying down a mortgage and banking on appreciation.
So did you do that first, or are these like in tandem?
Yeah, I did that first.
So you went like the traditional real estate
I went the traditional way, yeah. And if I could go back, I would do it the opposite way.
Yeah.
Because like creating the cash flow first is what's going to allow you to buy the long-term assets.
Yeah, the barrier to entry seems much lower with
That's it, right?
arbitrage. So, but I do have a question. Do you now, since you discovered this recently, are you taking this cash flow to then buy more rental properties?
Right now, I've just been using the cash flow to keep growing the arbitrage business.
So you see more opportunity there.
I see a ton of opportunity there, and like I said, the barrier, the capital I need to start new units is very low, and I can get it back quickly, right? So I can take $5,000, get it back in 2 months, and then that unit will make me $500 to $1,000 every month. Right? So
could you?
And then I take that money and I'm probably going to invest it into longer term stuff, or even building like some sort of unique Airbnbs. I'm looking in Costa Rica right now.
I live there?
Yeah, one of my students actually. No, I don't live there.
Oh, okay.
Sorry, I want to build an Airbnb there.
Okay.
I have a student that actually built an Airbnb there, and I stayed at it, and it was an amazing experience. There's a lot of potential in some of these other countries, even outside.
Are they like vacation rentals, basically? Yeah. That's really smart. Could you play like devil's advocate?
Sure.
Like, because you do both sides.
Yes.
So, like, what would be the cons of Airbnb arbitrage compared to that? To actual like owning the rentals, or just in general? Like, what are potential like risks?
Cons is it's a little more of an active business.
Yeah.
Especially when you're starting off, you've got to set up the units, you've got to build the teams, you've got to get systems and structures in place. So you're going through all that at the beginning, where the long-term real estate play is basically just put up the cash, buy the property, find some tenants, and set it and forget.
Maybe have a handyman.
Yeah, or have a property management company deal with it, and you never hear about it.
Yeah.
Right? So Airbnb arbitrage is a little bit more active at the beginning, but can be 100% passive if you build the proper systems and hire people to do all the tasks for you.
Yeah, and you don't have to really worry about interest rates or anything like that, because you know what your rate is going to be. That's the apartment. Damn, that's so interesting. And there's no real market risk to this. Like, you don't. There's no AI that's going to take over housing.
Once you're paid back, like realistically, even if something were to happen in a market, like say like New York, they brought in like a full Airbnb ban. You're paid back so quick. By the time they introduce a ban, it's still going to take a year or two before they actually put it into effect. So you're already well paid back by then. You know, get money. You can always move the furniture to another
get the furniture back.
Property, right? That's your main investment, right? So
there's no like.
That's how I look at it. There's literally no risk.
Like with actual real estate, like you could get liquidated, or like your loan could go under if like you don't have guests.
Yes.
And they could take that money back out the gate. Where this
Worst
is like,
case, you just walk away from your lease, or there's usually an exit clause, like maybe pay like 1 month rent or something like that.
It's not going to ruin your life.
No,
it might like hurt a little bit in the short term, but
of course,
it's
going to hurt. But like.
Compared to how much a house would hurt,
I know some people get smoked right now that own a bunch of real estate.
Oh yeah, 2008,
over leveraged,
tens of millions of dollars of equity gone.
Exactly right. And I think that we had the all the COVID stuff happen, and travel shut down and all that, right? And now people are traveling a lot more, and I think it's going to be like that for years to come.
Man, you're crushing it. I appreciate you coming on here, sharing this with everybody.
Yeah, thanks for having me. This was so much fun.
All right, guys, I put the links in the description. Go follow him. Colin, my man. Thank you so much.
Thank you, bro.
You killed that.